Hello everyone, welcome to Palmetto Happenings with Kobe, a show all about economic development, workforce development, commercial real estate, and tourism within the great state of South Carolina. I am here at the beautiful Dunes Club with Mr. Rox Pollard of Colliers International. How are you doing today?
Good,
Rox?
Kobe, thanks.
Good.
Delightful setting.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love it. Beautiful day, clear water, palmetto trees everywhere. You know. So tell our viewers about yourself.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
And it's really a privilege to be involved with Coastal Carolina and the Grant School of Economics and Real Estate. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on the advisory board for that. I'm with Colliers International in Columbia, is our headquarters. However, we have 4 offices in South Carolina: Spartanburg, Greenville, Charleston, and Columbia. We've got about 160 people on our staff and are doing transactional volume in excess of $1 billion a year now. So we love the state of South Carolina. We're about a 115-year-old company, and I specifically deal in retail real estate, which includes retail shopping centers, retail properties, banks, restaurants, you name it, and specifically do that. We have a team of retail specialists throughout the state, and I'm in charge of it.
What are some interesting recent properties that y'all have closed on or represented?
Well, in the Grand Strand, our biggest properties that we're thrilled to be a part of are the Jackson Company properties, which are at the intersection of Highway 17 Business, Highway 17 Bypass, and on Highway 544. They've got 2 different projects. And if you'll recall, that's where Target is in the south end of the Grand Strand. And
Super Target, I think that's
Super Target, yeah. And they've just opened up the residential component to Saybrook, which is about 800 acres, and they'll eventually have about 1,800 homes. That's well underway. Probably the thing that's getting ready to open is a brand new Starbucks, freestanding Starbucks at the intersection of Highway 544 and Ocean Drive Business. Right across from the Ocean Lakes Family Campground.
Oh, cool. Nice.
That's going to be a good one. Land tracts that we represent on 501 in Conway, and those have got a lot of activity, which we're hoping to be able to talk about more pretty soon.
Yeah. Do you have any interesting projects in Greenville? I don't know. I was thinking about the upstate recently. I thought of y'all and was on the website and just like, is there anything notable that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, there's several things. There's a new project up there that one of the Hughes groups is involved with, called Bridgepoint or Bridgeway. And that is on the Malden side or Simpsonville side of town, which is the southeast side of Greenville. And it's a really exciting mixed-use development. And our teammates up there, Lance Byers and Scott Burgess, represent that. So it's got some really interesting mixed-use components.
Yeah.
It has a really big profile that you can note right from the from Highway 378 as you're coming in. 375. And
I get those roads mixed up too.
In Columbia, probably our coolest project is we represent the Beach Company in Forest Acres with the mixed-use project that they did.
Interesting.
About a $60 million project with about 45,000 square feet of Class A retail space. And we've leased about 35,000 of that.
Wow.
At really impressive rental rates, but to really cool tenants. We're also doing a lot of work with Arnold Companies in downtown Columbia, and they've got some of the iconic, most premier locations in Columbia. So we are able to have our hands in a lot of stuff. We've got some grocery store clients and active really all over the state.
And this show is called Palmetto Happenings with Kobe, and so we talk about the Palmetto, Palmetto State, and I want to get, and being that you're a leader in commercial real estate in the state of South Carolina, I'd love to get your thoughts on, what kind of strengths does the Palmetto State have that really helps service the retail commercial real estate, what you specialize in?
Well, probably the greatest strength that we have is we are a very, very strong in-migration state. This body of water behind us has something to do with that.
Yeah.
But more than that, perhaps, is that we're a business-friendly state. We are conservatively governed, which seems to be popular for business investment. Very active in business growth in all the major metro areas, including the Grand Strand. And people are coming here in record numbers. Recently, an economist friend of mine said the best way to determine where migration is really taking place in the country is to follow sites like U-Haul or some of those types of independent movers, and they publish where they're selling trips, and they're coming from the west, and they're coming from the northeast, and they're coming into the Grand Strand area. There's a company called Cubes where you can pack up your things and they'll ship the cube to wherever you're going. And the #1 destination for those published last month was Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
That's really cool.
With retail properties in particular, retail is all driven by increased demand from shoppers, and consumption as part of our GDP is still 68, 69%. And that's remained constant. It remained constant in the Great Recession. It's remained constant even through COVID. And if you have increasing population growth and that GDP or that consumption number is high like it is, it just leads to more demand for retail property.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so what kind of you talk about a lot of positives that I knew of, with South Carolina, and I'm glad that it's being reinforced. It's pretty much the reinforcement that's in every single interview that I have, that we are a business-friendly state. That we survive and we also thrive, through difficult economic situations, and that's why I like the Myrtle Beach, the Grand Strand, especially the Waccamaw region, because we have the ability to be able to be flexible in certain difficult situations. What kind of opportunities do you think the Palmetto State can harness to really sorry, let me rephrase it. What opportunity? Let me do a pause. That way I can edit this out. What kind of opportunities do you think the Palmetto State can capitalize on to fully realize the full potential?
Well, I think that, like everywhere in the country, one of the big challenges we have is infrastructure. And in each region of the state, the definition of infrastructure is a little bit different. So in the Grand Strand, for example, there's a lot of consciousness and awareness of the potential for flooding or water runoff that is high on everybody's mind. If you were to go to Charleston, you'd find that some of the way that Charleston is physically landlocked with water bodies surrounding it, and then the discussion becomes, well, how do you deal with traffic and the increased population and moving those people around? In the Midlands, we're having some of the same things. Fortunately, DOT has their largest project in history going on at the intersection of I-20 and 26 in the Midlands, and that's to hopefully provide for good traffic flow up and down 26 and onto 20 for decades to come. It's a major project. Same thing is true in Greenville. They're a little ahead from a road infrastructure network, but it's taxing demands on roadways, school systems, municipal services. So keeping up with those is a challenge. Most residents, myself included, don't particularly want more taxes, but we all want great service.
Absolutely, 100%.
So and I think that's true throughout the country. The good news is, with our population growth, which increases the tax revenue, that certainly helps more than some other parts of the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it kind of addresses the point that I don't necessarily like the spend too much time on, but the threats, that are in the state of South Carolina. That is maybe the infrastructure, that because we have so much, you have a lot of people moving here, inbound migration, but also infrastructure that needs to be upgraded too. So I mean, that, and you agree probably that could be a threat, right?
Well, and one of the things that I think is a real shining example of how it can work is with the ride programs, tax ride programs that Horry County has successfully implemented, and it's a testament that they work, because every few years when it comes up for a vote, a majority of the citizens vote to continue that program.
69%, I think, they'll ride for that was voted on last year.
So I think that's a good shining light example for the rest of the state. I'm aware of some counties where they've done that. Richland County, where Columbia has agreed and does have a similar program. Lexington County, which is part of the Columbia MSA, however, voted that idea down in the last election cycle.
Wow.
So you can't have it both ways. You can't complain about the squeezed infrastructure and not be willing to put your money up to fund it.
Yeah.
So there's balance, but all in all, here again, the state is just in remarkable shape. Better than I've seen it in my 62 years of living here.
It's exciting. It's exciting. I mean, certainly as a local that grew up here, there's I've kind of fought to stay in this area because it's exciting to be a part of it,
Yeah.
And see the growth and see everything that's happening. I like to talk about the concept of looking to the future while honoring the past. We have all this growth, we have all this opportunity here in the state of South Carolina to really fully realize the true opportunities that we have here economically. What is Colliers doing to capitalize on that opportunity while looking to the future and having developments that are sustainable and honoring this growth that's happening that can be used 50, 100 years from now? Can you speak on that topic?
Well, we are a third-party firm by and large, so a lot of that is dictated by what our clients want to do. However, having said that, all municipalities in the state of South Carolina are sensitive to sustainable practices, or perhaps a better way to put it is very responsible practices. So, for example, stormwater mitigation. Most everywhere in the state, whether it's in the upstate all the way down here to the coast, that is now a key factor in, if you don't go in for permitting with a really well thought out plan, generally for stormwater mitigation and frequently for landscaping, then they'll send you away to get that straightened out before they'll even consider your plan. So what we try to do at Colliers is to counsel or assist our clients with recognizing that on the front end. The days of just pushing over all the trees, bringing in a big paving machine and paving everything in sight, building a big building that really may not even be attractive on the landscape of the community, those days are pretty much gone. Regardless of where you are, even in smaller towns, larger towns. And that's a good thing, because one of the things South Carolina also is well known for is just its beauty. And that should extend all the way to how beautiful is it to drive down Highway 17 or Woodruff Road in Greenville or wherever that may be. And I think what we've observed is the best corridors in the state are sensitive to that, and the best developers and a lot of our clients, which we're privileged to work with, also appreciate that, because that creates long-term value. If you have an impressionable development, one that makes a favorable impression on the community, it's just kind of doing the right thing. That in and of itself makes the project more sustainable.
Looking at the whole picture,
and we're seeing a lot more of that, and we get to be a part of it. But the municipalities are at a little bit better equilibrium point on all that.
I think the reason why I asked that question is because when we talk about Richland County and that community in general, I think of Scout Motors. Because they located out there because of the idea of looking at the whole picture. They don't want to just build something that's just have a building there. They look at investing in the whole community, and that's something I've been harping on for the past 24 hours. I feel like a broken record. It's a long story, but yes, that's why I asked that question to all of our guests on our show, especially folks out towards the Columbia area too, because that's where I'd like to see the whole state head in direction of think about the whole community, think about something that's beyond just 10 years down the road. What kind of organizations is there, a uniform way, your companies that you represent or that your tenants really, do they work with what kind of community organizations do they partner with to really boost up their business and also their outside community that they're located in?
Well, what I've seen more of and I've been doing this about 35 years. And so what I've seen more of, and this really I will credit social media for this, is that you want to be liked on social media.
Positive PR.
Positive PR. So because social media is a free platform, you're not creating an ad and just pushing it out there. You've got to rely on your good impression, your good business, your good behavior as a community citizen. What you're bringing of value to the community, so that the customer base will be talking about it in a positive way. We all enjoy reviews and trying to get a heads up on things before we go there, whether it's for dining, for shopping, whatever that may be. And I think that's been probably one of the biggest changes, and also one of the most prolific things that I've seen the best retailers, and I include hospitality in that, adapt to and take advantage of. The businesses that are out there, particularly the smaller businesses that don't have the budgets for the big billboards, for the TV ads, radio ads, that kind of thing. The ones that do that best, they're the ones that are getting the most bang for their buck out of that.
Yeah.
As far as trade organizations, you know, I think each community has some things that benefit, whether it's hospitality, you know, food and beverage, or retail. I think it has more to do with the immediate community they operate in, sort of their immediate trade area.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our viewers about? You know, any interesting projects that keep an eye on in the future?
Well, a few
With
things
Colliers.
that have kind of come up in the last probably 4 or 5 years, and this really started a little bit before COVID, but has really really accelerated post-COVID, is pre-COVID there was some question mark on what exactly was going to happen with bricks and mortar retail. And obviously the e-commerce was on the rise. And during COVID, it obviously took even a leap up. A lot of e-commerce transactions, if you drive and pick up something at a store, for example, that's considered an e-commerce transaction. What's been interesting is since the relaxation, or hopefully relaxation, of the pandemic era that we lived through, people have returned to the bricks and mortar stores in almost record numbers. Retail sales continue to grow even in this inflationary cycle that we're in. E-commerce has stabilized or even declined slightly from its peak in 2020. So there's obviously a place for e-commerce, and it's particularly great for commodity type things. So there's an equilibrium point that seems to be establishing itself, and you've sort of seen the return to traditional retail properties like grocery stores, for example. We went through a long period of time where there wasn't a lot of grocery store expansion around the state. Now you've got new Publix down here. You've got
a lot of Publix down here.
Food Lines that are brand new down here.
Beautiful Food Lines.
Aldi's that are brand new. There's stores actively looking for locations in this area and in all markets. We're working with several grocery store clients. So that's nice. And I think that, what we forget is retail provides something in our communities that maybe we didn't appreciate as much before COVID, and that's the sociability aspect of it. So whether it's meeting you out here and we're having this conversation, or it's even going shopping at the grocery store. We are, we're pack animal creatures, so to speak, and so we get satisfaction out of that. Sure, you can order a pizza and eat it at home as much as you want to, but sometimes it's nice to go to a place and be around other people, whether it's for food, beverage, shopping, recreation, whatever that may be. So post-pandemic, a lot of that's sort of a sociographic thing that has really been emphasized and really comes into play now in retailing more than I've ever seen it.
We're heading in the right direction. We're recovering from the pandemic and honoring kind of the good, the positive lessons that we learned during the pandemic. And that's something I've learned from you. I mean, following you on social media and following, different news that we have, people that we have on our advisory board. And by the way, Rox is on the Grant Center for Real Estate Economics advisory board. We are vice chairman.
Right.
We appreciate his leadership. But yeah, we have all this opportunity here that's being realized, and I like that a lot. That's what the purpose of the show is, kind of also to show that this opportunity is here.
Well, one of the things I also wanted to mention is that's particularly intriguing to me about the Grant School of Economics and Real Estate at Coastal Carolina and the programming they're bringing on. You mentioned the undergraduate degree coming along in real estate, the master's degree program, and what we've talked about on the advisory board, which has been very interesting to me, is for those students, and this, hopefully we can grow this idea. They're living, and they may not even realize it, in one of the best real estate laboratories in the country.
Preach. Yeah.
You've got
Testify.
one of the fastest growing MSAs in the country.
Yep.
It is being populated by a lot of in-migration from retirees or people that are moving out of other parts of the country, largely a lot of them from the Northeast. You have, complementing that, you've got a very young population that's attracted whether it's for recreation opportunities down here or hospitality jobs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got some environmental pressures, which we talked about earlier, which are not only roadways and people moving around, but then how do you deal with increased stormwater runoff and associated problems that can happen. And at the same time, how do you keep all that vibrant so that it's a welcoming place for people to move in, so the tax revenue continues to grow, so that this place can continue to adapt and evolve as, for example, the tourism market adapts and evolves. And so I think that Coastal is in just such a unique position from a programming standpoint to be able to expand on that because of this laboratory environment that people are in. And that's just so unique. And I think because I'm coming in from Columbia, from a little bit different part of the state, I might see that more visibly sometimes than people that live right here. Just like you will notice things in Columbia that I won't notice because you come to visit.
You see the opportunities, you know, you see that we are actually an awesome program, you know. We were truly in the land of opportunity. The Grand Strand's that opportunity, and so is Coastal Carolina University. I love our program. You know, I always say that, you know, that we have a minor right now, and we're gonna get that major in a couple of years, hopefully next year, like I said. And then there's also, you know, all these different partnerships, you know, that we can have within that, you know, hospitality, you know, finance. And so I'm excited for them, and I appreciate your leadership too in those endeavors. Well, Rox, thank you for joining the show today.
Yeah, Kobe, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for joining, listening to Palmetto Happenings with Kobe. Follow us on LinkedIn. I share these videos on the Grant Center for Real Estate Economics LinkedIn page, and the Kobe Williams LinkedIn page, my LinkedIn page, and also Twitter. And follow us on our website too, coastal.edu/Grant Center. And thank you all for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.